Michael Penix Jr. is my 6th ranked quarterback in the 2024 draft class, my 49th ranked player overall. He had a very productive final 2 seasons at Washington, ranking 2nd in total passing yards in 2022 and 1st last season. He threw for 67 touchdowns and 19 interceptions at Washington and led them to the college football championship game in 2023. And there's a lot to like about his game, but the lack of refinement as a 6th-year senior combined with his injury history has him out of the first round on my board. A few years ago, I was in school studying engineering, and I just wasn't excited about doing that every day for the rest of my life. And I decided to start this YouTube channel and make the jump to covering sports full time, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And today's video is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University's online sports management program, which lets you turn your passion for sports into a degree. Their programs are led by faculty with real-world experience in sports, giving you the unique chance to learn from professionals and graduates, all while building connections in the industry. So if you're wanting to get your foot in the door in the sports world, go to snhu.edu/A to Z sports, also linked in the description, to see if you qualify for SNHU's sports management program. So he's a 6th-year senior. He played his first 4 seasons at Indiana and had 4 consecutive season-ending injuries. That is definitely affecting his grade for me. Obviously, teams are going to find out more details at the combine, but being a little bit undersized at 212 pounds and having that kind of injury history is definitely concerning. And at the Senior Bowl, he measured in with really long arms and big hands. 10 3/8 inches is 94th percentile for quarterback prospects. That is somewhat important just in terms of ball control and being able to have a firm grip. He has a good arm, especially in terms of strength and velocity. He's able to push the ball deep down the field, throws with enough velocity to fit it into tight windows. He had a throw in the semifinal against Texas where he hits a deep post right in between the safeties in cover 2. The amount of heat that he's able to put on throws 20 plus yards down the field, that's probably his most impressive trait. And speaking of the Texas game, he had a lot of his best performances on the biggest stages. The playoff game against Texas, the week 7 game against Oregon where he led that game-winning drive, and then the other Oregon game in the conference championship. Those were probably 3 of his best performances from this season. He wasn't very good in the national championship game, but as far as rising to the moment, playing his best when the lights are the brightest, he definitely has that it factor. But as a passer, he is very limited in terms of launch points and being able to release the ball from difficult platforms. He's lacking some creativity and flexibility within the pocket, being able to get rid of the ball off his back foot or when he doesn't have a clean pocket to step into. And then he also really struggles with touch throws, especially throwing over the middle. He had some nice throws on back shoulder fades to the sideline where he's able to throw it away from the coverage, put enough elevation on it, but throwing it over the middle of the field, he is kind of similar to JJ McCarthy in that he's a one-speed thrower. If he's got to loft it over the top of a sinking linebacker, he really struggles to put enough air on it. The interception against USC is a good example of that. And then being a lefty, his throwing motion gets a lot of conversation. I didn't have a major problem with that outside of his low release point. He had 6 batted passes this year. He does kind of have a tendency to throw it right into a defensive tackle's hands. And then there were flashes of elite ball placement with Michael Penix Jr. If you just stacked up the 10 best throws from every quarterback in this class, his highlight reel is as impressive as anyone besides Caleb Williams probably. There are examples on tape, especially on like deep overs 25 yards down the field. He's just layering it perfectly, pinpoint accuracy, but I wouldn't classify him as an accurate passer. He had one of the lower on target rates out of the quarterbacks in this class. There were a lot of just easy gimme touchdowns that he's missing by 5 yards. Especially when he's pressured, you see the limited flexibility with his release. He really has to strain to throw it in the face of pressure, and that results in pretty inconsistent ball placement. And short to intermediate accuracy, even from a clean pocket, was also very inconsistent. There were a lot of flats and speed outs that he's putting a few yards over his receiver's head. His pocket maneuvering and ability to avoid pressure is a mixed bag, and it's a really interesting conversation. It's kind of similar to CJ Stroud, but to a much lesser degree, where we really didn't see any play extension from Michael Penix throughout the season. And then the Texas game in the college football playoff, he looked like a completely different player. He's sidestepping pressure, stepping back up into the pocket, resetting his base, delivering an accurate throw over the middle. So many examples of throws and plays that we just hadn't seen from him leading up to that point. So part of draft evaluation is if you've seen somebody do something once or twice, you know that they can do it, but that ability to extend plays within the pocket, reset his footwork, that just isn't something that he showed earlier in the season. He got good protection at Washington, but even considering that, he did a very good job of avoiding sacks. He had the second lowest pressure to sack conversion rate in this class, right behind Bo Nix. He's able to get the ball out quickly, hit his check down, throw it away, avoid those big negative plays. But he did create some pressure for himself by drifting backwards, taking an extra hitch, and creating easy angles for edge rushers. And he doesn't give you a whole lot in terms of creating outside of the pocket. He is a bit of a statue, and when he does break outside and extend the play, he wasn't that effective. His 38.5% completion rate on throws outside of the pocket ranked 94th in college football. He does have, I think, the natural ability to be more of a playmaker. He's fast, he's got good acceleration. As an Indiana fan, I've been watching this guy for 6 years, and sadly, the high point of Indiana football in my lifetime was his game-winning touchdown run against Michigan State in, I think, 2019. So he does have some mobility. He's kind of a statue by choice. It's not really an athletic limitation. And then as a processor, I was kind of underwhelmed by Michael Penix. The offense didn't do us many favors as far as evaluating him in that area. He was rarely asked to make full field reads and target the middle of the field. It was a lot of just one read sideline shots. F it, Rome Odunze's down there somewhere. But I thought he had a tendency to lock onto his first read, multiple interceptions or turnover-worthy plays where he doesn't see a dropping zone coverage defender. And when they are running a concept where he's got like a backside dig developing, there are times where he's just a second or two late pulling the trigger. So I like some of the arm talent. I like the fact that he doesn't take sacks, and there are flashes of high-end ball placement. But for an older player with his injury history that struggles with accuracy, struggles with pocket mobility, and I have questions about his processing, that's a late second round grade for me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments any NFL draft prospects that you'd like me to cover. And if you want to see my full draft board as an interactive filterable table, I've got that up at A to Z sports.com. The link to that is in the description.